deadlift, all right, one of the big misconceptions that we have is that we say you need to bend over, okay? So if you tell me right now to bend over, of course, just in layman terms, look at me. So, look, automatically, my back has to hunch, all right? I got to get a curve in my back in order to get the length for me to reach, to bend over, to do whatever you're asking me to do, okay? So if you are someone who's into fitness, you want to get used to this hip hinging pattern. So when you ask me to bend over, I'm not gonna be doing this, okay? I'm gonna be doing this, all right? Now it's really a cue, a verbal cue, okay? So a lot of people hear things differently from each other. This is something I learned as a jiu-jitsu coach and as a father, that the way you speak to certain people will resonate differently. My oldest will hear something different than my youngest, even though I say it the exact same way. So, if I'm telling you to bend over, most people will just go like this, all right? But when I have to teach the deadlift, a lot of times for beginners, nowadays I'll just say, okay, make sure that our hips go back. I never say bend over, all right? Hips go back. Because see, when my hips go back, my body has to lean forward. There's no other way, all right? So I am leaning down. It happens automatically for me. So you should shift your cues to hips go back. And then now, look, I got a nice, good, stable spine. I'm not overarched. I'm straight, okay? You don't want your head up like this. You don't want it cocked down either, all right? You want a good neutral placement of your spine, okay? This is important because athletes, especially grapplers, people like me who train those type of people and live that type of lifestyle, will always tend to be like this, all right? Okay? They got that roundedness, all right? So when we come to exercise, there's a reason why we are fixated in our patterns a certain way, okay? It doesn't have to be exact like grappling. It doesn't have to be just like your sport, all right? That's a sport-specific phase that you can do, but it's not necessary to apply all the time. What is necessary to be applied all the time is basic movement patterns: squatting, hinging, rotation, movement, push, pull, okay? So this is a hinge pattern, and under a hinge pattern, if I have a load heavy in my hands or here by my chest, I want to make sure that my hips are back and that my back itself is stable. I'm not hunched over like this, okay? Because if the weight becomes too hard for me, then the load will stress over into the thoracic region or somewhere into the lumbar region, depending on how I'm bending, okay? So, that's the second part on making sure that we are hinging properly and we have proper shoulder alignment, okay? We want to make sure that we're nice and strong and straight, okay? We don't want to be rounded out, all right? And it's not just grapplers, because you'll see this in football players too, okay? Because, you know, they're always like this, you know, they're ready to hit, okay? So we don't want to get fixated into that rounded shoulder posture, okay? That might be applicable for our sport, but it's not for lifting, okay? We can eventually cause an injury, all right? So the third part in the proper deadlifting form would be simply how to engage the body properly. So if you watched part 2, you would notice that I talked about the rounding of the shoulders, okay? So just a quick recap, we want a tripod in the foot, okay? So we're gonna make sure that our big toe is grinding into the floor. We're gonna make sure there's an arch in our foot. We're gonna make sure that all toes and the edge of our foot are properly balanced when our heel is base strong inside the floor itself, pushing into the ground, okay? We're not gonna cue our person to bend over. We're going to say, push our hips back, and our back is locked in and straight, all right? We're not gonna have that rounded shoulder. Now, back in the early 2000s,